Happy Friday, everyone. This is Sammy Geek back here with a quick 30-day review on my Samsung Galaxy Watch 4. And what I'm going to do is kick this thing off right away. As you guys know, I don't talk about specs, any of that stuff that you guys can see in everyone else's videos. I'm going to jump right into what I think about this thing. What has it been like wearing this thing for the past 30 days? And just to kind of set the stage a little bit, I've come from most of the Samsung watches that I've owned. I've also rocked the Fitbits and the Garmin's and Amazfit and several other brands before I've continued to just come back to Samsung every single time. So my last watch, to put it in perspective, was the Watch Active 2. And I wear my watch pretty much 24 hours a day. The only time I take it off is after my workouts and pretty much to shower, things like that. But I do wear this thing at night for sleep tracking and everything else that the watch offers for the most part. I do usually rock the, about half the time I probably have the screen on, as you can see right now, always on display, kind of kicks on. So I usually do that about half the time. If I'm shooting to save the battery for a little bit longer period of time, I will turn that off. But I'm gonna do this review in two segments. First, for the first minute, I'm just gonna kind of buzz through everything for the folks that are in a hurry. And then I'm gonna talk a little bit more in detail about some of my findings of this watch versus the Watch Active 2 for those that want to stick around. So kicking it off for the folks that are in a rush here, I'll try and sum this up. The Watch 4 feels very similar to the Watch Active 2. What I notice is the display's a little bit better, the fonts are a little bit better, the graphics rather, and of course the sleekness of the unit itself. So the design of the watch. So if you're upgrading to this watch, what it does is it really feels like you're upgrading a little bit on the screen, like I said, but mostly the look and the feel of the actual hardware itself, the actual watch. That's where I think the value is. To me, it's a tremendous upgrade versus the Watch Active 2. The Watch Active 2 was a little bit more rounded. It seemed like a much more sport focused type of watch. And to me, it just didn't look as premium. So this is offered in two different colors, as you guys know. It comes with the black version, which would be, you would see the black here, and then you would also get the black around the edge there. And then of course the well, it's not exactly stainless steel, but the aluminum, the silver aluminum version that I am rocking here. And for me, I would have gone black, all black, and then usually I have a white strap. But for this, I really think for this particular watch, if you do like black watches, I still think you can get away with this because this aluminum, silver aluminum really sets it off. It's such a sharp look, like I mentioned in my last video, with that kind of waterfall edge. And it's really, really sharp this year, a sharp cutoff. They didn't do the rounded like they did in the previous years. But the Watch Active 2 felt a little bit cheaper is kind of the bottom line. So that's what I think. In summary, I think that's the major differences. Everything else from the tracking to the sleep and everything else feels pretty much the same, all the way down to the battery life as well. So the battery life, I would say, is like spot on with what the Watch Active 2 was giving me as well. I'm pretty much topping it off every day when I'm in the shower. I could maybe squeeze out 2 days with this watch, just like I could have with the Watch Active 2. So that's kind of the summary, guys. If you ask me how many stars I would give this out of 5, personally, I would give it like 4, and there's a major reason for that, is that during the workouts, I posted another video where I'm dropping heart rate about halfway through the workout. I'm seeing a bunch of dots, like it's losing track of the heart rate. So that is the one downside to this watch. Everything else I think is awesome. I love the design of it. I think it looks fantastic. My last video you guys saw, I had the white band, and I have a green band here. So anyway, for the guys that are in a hurry, that's kind of the summary. And if you want to stick with me a little bit, I'm going to dive into a little bit more deeper detail here. So those who have been watching, thank you very much, and we'll catch up with you guys soon. For everyone else, what I want to talk about is I'm going to talk about the watch faces first of all. So I do like, one of the things that I like this year is it's a very simplistic it's a really, like the app drawer is very simplistic. I love this and how you can go through, find your watch, set a timer. It's so easy to use. Some people might be asking, hey, do you use the rotating dial? I actually turned that off on this watch. I don't think it's necessary, because when I go through, as I'm buzzing through these different things here, it's just left or right. And I would swipe to the right for my notifications, and then pretty much swipe up for things that you're seeing here, the different apps that you might use, which I don't have a ton of them because I don't do a ton with this watch, and then pretty much swipe down. I go right into the settings and things like that right here. A couple things that are funny. Well, oddly enough, this, as you can see on the bottom right here, there is a little flashlight function, and what that does is if you tap on that, it will actually make the screen very, very bright. And when you are in a dark room, it's a lifesaver. So we have a pontoon boat, and long story short, some of the poles were collapsing and it started to rain. And so I had to sprint out and climb under the pontoon boat at like 3 o'clock in the morning to cover up the pontoon before it got totally flooded, before the cover got flooded. And it was so dark under there. I was fumbling around in the pitch black, and I turned my wrist up, and all of a sudden, for whatever reason, the watch turned on and it told me what the time was. And I was like, oh my God, I have the watch on me. So I remembered, I scanned down in here, and I was able to use the flashlight function, and it saved me. It was so awesome. It's really an overlooked little function of these watches, and I believe the previous versions had it as well, but just something fun to note. Now, here in the top right-hand corner, or top left-hand corner, you'll see there's a sleep button. If you tap sleep button, it will put it into a bedtime mode. So essentially what that does is that shuts off your screen entirely. So if you are actually, you know what, it's not going to work because I have always on. I changed it to not timeout, but what it does is it will kill everything, and it will turn this everything off the watch. So when you're sleeping and your wrist is moving, it won't light up on you. And again, that's saving battery. So if you do want to see what time it is, then you would just tap the side and it'll pop up. It'll say it's actually in sleep mode, and but you'll be able to see the time if you want to check. So that's been a lifesaver for me. I've just always used that. One of my criticisms for Samsung would definitely be, I would love for them to set a timer. So a couple of other brands, I think Garmin and so forth, they have a timer. So you can set your watch to go to sleep at a certain time, or like sleep mode, you know, at 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, and then 6 in the morning it turns back on. So it automatically does it. So that's kind of a drawback that I've noticed on this watch. The speaking of which, I mentioned before, I have a lot of problems in the gym. That's why I can't give this thing a 5-star. I love the watch itself, but I have a huge problem in the gym where I'm working out. You guys check out my other video, but it will drop off heart rate signal. Once you get up, it's like the first quarter of your workout's recorded, then it will lose heart rate, and then it'll kick back on in the very tail end of your workout, and it's super frustrating. And I'm literally a week away from wanting to send this watch back and do a warranty period. So we'll see how that pans out. The body fat here, again, I'm not just scared to show this to you guys. I've been having way too many Twinkies over the summer, apparently. And now it says 20.4. I believe that this is just a ballpark figure. And the reason I say that is because almost every night I've got a Garmin scale that I get on, and the Garmin scale is at least probably 3% less body fat. Although my last measurement, as you can see, I just did it for my test for this video, is at 1:54 p.m. and I just had lunch and drank a bunch of water. So I'm guessing it's probably also measuring the water that I've got in my system, because again, when I jump on the Garmin scale, it's a little bit less. So I use this as a grain of salt, or take this information with a grain of salt is what I'm trying to say. What I would do is I would measure your body fat every day at the same time, and I wouldn't put a lot of emphasis into what this number says. But if that number, you know, if you do it every day before lunch, and if you start out at like 18% or 20%, and then you notice you're seeing a trend in the right direction of dropping body fat, then you're probably heading in the right direction. And I think it's a direct correlation to to your workouts. And I definitely, this is why I know that I'm not 20% body fat, is because I do work out pretty consistently. And again, I'm not joking. I've had way too many Twinkies over the summertime. That's kind of my weakness in Taco Bell, fast food, whatever it might be. But yeah, I'm pretty familiar with the body fat and so forth. But it gives you a little bit of a ballpark measurement, which I think is awesome. If you do it every day and you're working out, you're going to see results. So other than that, sleep score, last night was kind of a rough night. I was all over the board. What you're not going to see here, you'll kind of see there's a space, there's a black space in there. It says sleep score 45. We actually had some nasty storms that rolled through last night. So my sleep was all screwed up because I ended up getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning and going down to the couch, getting prepared for the storm to come in. For a few things, I was afraid we were going to lose some lawn furniture. And then the storm came through right at that black mark, as you can see here. That storm came through. Oh, ooh, those calories. So I better go burn a couple more calories to change that, right? Anyway, so the deep sleep, as you can see, was like 4 minutes. But I religiously look at this thing every single morning and look at my sleep. And again, it's similar to like the body fat. I think it's just giving you ballparks. I mean, it's not precision sleep equipment. And again, it's going to give you an idea of how you're sleeping. But if you actually had sleep apnea or some kind of issue like that, you would want to get real medical equipment to try. So, but yeah, as far as the going back to the watch itself and the faces, I enjoy the Samsung faces. As you guys can see, this is one of their faces, and I just changed the color of the minute hand and so forth, and the second hand, and to match my bands. If you guys are interested in what band this is, check out my other video, my first review of this watch. I think there was a lot of views on that video, and a few people were asking me what this band was, and I was able to post a link. Actually, that's the white one, but you guys can see there's different colors. I've got this in like 4 or 5 or 6 different types of colors. So anyway, I love wearing this watch every day. In summary, I am, has it completely changed my life? Okay, probably not, but I do absolutely love it. Would I go back to a Watch Active 2? Not a chance. Samsung knocked the design out of the park for this. Literally, I'm sitting around thinking, I'm like, what else could they possibly do to make this watch better? The only thing I believe they could do, which you really can't see now because I have a dark display, but there is a little bit of a bezel around the outside. So I imagine they could make the watch a little more compact with a little bit more screen real estate. But other than that, they just nailed it. Like I'm so surprised because they have the Watch Classic, which is the same thing, but it's huge and bulky. And kudos to you guys if you like the big watches. But I wearing this thing 24 hours a day. For the most part, and wearing it to the gym and everything, I need it to be a little bit lighter, more towards the sporty side. And I think they've really created this fine line of being sporty, but also you can dress it up. I went to a fancy event the other day, and I wish I had a picture, but I put on a leather band, and it just looked sharp. And I turned on the always-on display. So I have really bright lights over me right now, but the always-on display, you can actually see when it's a little bit dimmer area. And so I had a suit on, and as the watch would pop out of the suit coat, you'd actually see the always-on display, and it just looked beautiful. It was awesome. So again, the only real downside to this watch is that that heart rate, and I'm hoping that Samsung either A, can replace my watch and fix it, or B, come out with some sort of software update that will correct the issue. So anyway, if you guys are still with me and watching this entire video, you guys are either A, probably have this watch, or B, you are considering getting it. If you are coming, if your question is, should I consider the Watch 4 over the Watch Active 2 or any of the previous generations, I would say, if you wear the watch as much as I do, yes, 100%. I'm a big fan of putting money towards things that you use, And for me, it's cell phones, it's my smartwatch. These are things that are with me every single day. So you can hardly put a price on the value of having all this technology in your wrist, taking phone calls and being able to respond to text messages, and your fitness tracking and your sleep tracking, even down to the little flashlight functionality. I mean, how cool is that? One thing this watch does that the Watch Active 2 didn't do was if you get a message, if somebody were to send me or call me right now, or an alarm was to go off, I literally shake my wrist twice like this and it silences the alarm. It'll actually shut it off. So I'll be typing away on my computer and I just kind of go like this and it kills the alarm. So that is a tiny little functionality, but it's super cool. Anyway, so the list adds up and up and up. And so I believe firmly, especially if you have an older watch and you can trade it in and get credit for it, 100% I would recommend this watch. So that is it, guys. That is my full 30-day review. This will be my last review or conversation on this watch. That's why this video is so long. So if you have any questions, hit me up, and you guys know I will try and respond. And thank you for all the subscriptions. Really appreciate it, guys. It means a lot. I just do this for fun, and I'm passionate about technology, and I don't want to be the world's largest YouTuber, but just have a blast doing this stuff for you guys. So talk to you soon. See ya. Peace.